Childhood and family background. Severus Snape was born to a witch mother named Eileen Prince and a muggle father named Tobias Snape. The environment he was raised in was emotionally unstable and hostile. They lived in a grim industrial area known as Spinner's End, a poor and desolate neighborhood bordered by a river. The home was not only bleak in appearance but toxic in atmosphere. Snape's parents were frequently at odds, and their constant arguing became the backdrop of his formative years. Tobias Snape was known to be a cold, irritable man, described by Severus himself as someone who doesn't like anything much. This emotional unavailability, paired with a volatile temper, made him particularly difficult to please. Meanwhile, Eileen Prince, though a witch, was no source of comfort either. She was described as thin, sallow-faced, and sour-looking. Her resemblance to Severus was striking, but her emotional warmth was lacking. This domestic situation created a deeply isolated and unhappy child. Severus longed to escape the oppressive atmosphere of his home. He fixated on the idea of turning 11 and finally leaving for Hogwarts. That distant promise of magic, freedom, and reinvention became a psychological lifeline. Before his escape to the wizarding world, one brief spark of light appeared in his life, a red-headed muggle-born girl who lived nearby, Lily Evans. She represented everything Severus lacked: warmth, curiosity, and joy. Early friendship with Lily Evans. Severus Snape's first encounter with Lily Evans marked a significant shift in his life. He had noticed strange occurrences around her, traits he recognized as signs of latent magical ability. With great anticipation, he told Lily that she was a witch. The moment did not go as he had imagined. Lily, unfamiliar with the wizarding world and deeply confused by the term, was initially offended. The situation escalated when Snape referred to Lily's sister Petunia as a muggle, a term Petunia didn't understand, but interpreted as an insult due to Snape's tone. Petunia angrily pulled Lily away, telling her they were leaving. Lily followed, casting Snape a glare that crushed his expectations. Despite the poor start, Lily gradually began to trust Severus. The two developed a bond built on their shared curiosity about magic. During one of their secret meetings in the woods, Snape introduced her to concepts such as Hogwarts, the Ministry of Magic, Azkaban, Dementors, and underage sorcery. When Lily questioned whether her muggle-born status would affect how she was treated, Snape reassured her that it made no difference. Their growing friendship was tested one day when Petunia, hiding behind a bush, overheard their conversation. She lashed out at Snape, mocking his worn clothes and asking if he was wearing his mother's blouse. As she turned to leave, a branch fell on her shoulder. Lily instantly accused Severus of hexing her. Though he denied it, her trust wavered, and she ran after her sister, hurt and suspicious. The strain between Lily and Petunia deepened. On the day they were to board the Hogwarts Express, Snape watched from a distance as Petunia lashed out again, calling Lily and Severus freaks. Lily burst into tears, referencing a letter Petunia had secretly written to Dumbledore, one that begged to be allowed to attend Hogwarts alongside her sister. The rejection letter from Dumbledore had been polite, but it reinforced Petunia's exclusion and resentment. On the train, Lily confided in Snape about her pain. In a moment meant to cheer her, Snape excitedly said, "You'd better be in Slytherin." This sparked a confrontation with a boy named James Potter, who announced that he hoped to be in Gryffindor. Snape sneered at the idea, drawing attention from James and his new friend Sirius Black. Their snide remarks began what would become one of the bitterest rivalries in the series. Despite this, Lily and Severus sat together for much of the train ride, clinging to their fragile but promising connection. First years at Hogwarts. Upon arrival at Hogwarts, Severus Snape was sorted into Slytherin House. His friend Lily Evans was sorted into Gryffindor. This created a divide, as students from these two houses typically held opposing values and rivalries. Snape quickly showed exceptional skill in potions and defense against the dark arts. He customized his potions textbook with personal annotations and corrections. These modifications often improved the instructions and outcomes, indicating advanced understanding. He also created original spells, including Sectum Sempra, a curse designed to inflict deep, blade-like wounds. Snape adopted the alias the Half-Blood Prince. This name referenced his mixed heritage, his mother being a witch with the maiden name Prince, and his father being a non-magical muggle. The label reflected both his blood status and his maternal lineage. During his early years, Snape developed animosity toward a group of Gryffindor students: James Potter, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew. They frequently bullied Snape, calling him Snivelus and performing public humiliations. One incident involved Sirius misleading Snape into entering the Shrieking Shack while Lupin, a werewolf, was inside. James intervened at the last minute, preventing a fatal encounter. Snape refused to acknowledge any gratitude toward James, claiming he only acted to protect himself and his friends from potential consequences. These confrontations solidified mutual hostility between Snape and the Marauders. Despite the bullying, Snape remained academically focused. However, he also began aligning himself with students who practiced or endorsed dark magic. This group formed part of the future Death Eater Circle. Their behavior, such as cruelty toward other students and interest in forbidden spells, was a growing concern to observers, including Lily Evans. Collapse of friendship with Lily. During his time at Hogwarts, Severus Snape maintained a friendship with Lily Evans, despite being sorted into rival houses. Over time, however, the friendship began to deteriorate due to ideological differences and peer associations. Snape became increasingly aligned with Slytherin students who displayed an interest in dark magic. Lily, along with her Gryffindor friends, disapproved of these associations. She directly confronted Snape about the behavior of his friends, criticizing their use of dark arts and their cruel treatment of other students. Snape reacted defensively and attempted to shift the focus toward James Potter and his friends, accusing them of wrongdoing as well. Lily dismissed this comparison, stating that while James and his group were troublemakers, they did not engage in dark magic. The conversation revealed a deepening ideological rift, with Lily expressing concern over Snape's values and behavior. The final rupture occurred in their 5th year after a public incident by the Black Lake. James Potter and Sirius Black attacked Snape in front of other students. Snape attempted to retaliate with a spell, but James overpowered him and levitated him upside down. Lily intervened and demanded that James release him. James complied, but when Snape regained his footing, he insulted Lily by calling her a filthy mudblood. The term mudblood is a derogatory slur used to insult Muggle-born witches and wizards. Its use, especially toward Lily, was a severe breach of trust. Despite multiple attempts by Snape to apologize afterward, Lily refused reconciliation. She stated that she had made excuses for him for too long, and accused him of gravitating toward people who aimed to become Death Eaters. Snape did not deny the accusation. This incident ended their friendship permanently. From that point forward, Lily distanced herself from Snape entirely, while Snape immersed himself further in the ideology and social circles of future Death Eaters. Joining the Death Eaters. Following the breakdown of his friendship with Lily Evans, Severus Snape fully integrated into the circle of Slytherin students who were sympathetic to dark arts ideology. Many of these individuals would go on to become Death Eaters, followers of Lord Voldemort.
Look at me. How can you live with yourself, Lucius?
Snape pursued the study of dark magic and began aligning himself with Voldemort's rising movement. His motivation included personal bitterness, social ambition, and a desire for power. By the time he left Hogwarts, Snape was considered a loyal servant of Voldemort. At Voldemort's direction, Snape applied for a teaching position at Hogwarts. The goal was to gain proximity to Dumbledore and report back information to the Dark Lord. This marked the beginning of Snape's formal role as a spy. While carrying out his duties, Snape overheard a critical prophecy made by Sybil Trelawney during her job interview with Dumbledore. The prophecy described a child born at the end of July who would have the power to vanquish Voldemort. Snape delivered this partial prophecy to Voldemort. Voldemort interpreted the prophecy as referring to Harry Potter, the son of James and Lily Potter. As a result, he targeted the Potters for elimination. Snape, upon realizing that Voldemort intended to kill Lily, his childhood friend and the person he had long loved, panicked. He pleaded with Voldemort to spare her life but made no such plea for her husband or child. Unable to guarantee Lily's safety, Snape turned to Dumbledore. He confessed what he had done and begged Dumbledore to protect the entire Potter family. Dumbledore, disgusted by Snape's selective concern, initially refused. He questioned whether Snape cared only about Lily and not the lives of James or Harry. Snape ultimately agreed to protect all three in exchange for Dumbledore's help. Despite Dumbledore's efforts to shield the Potters, their trust in the wrong person, Peter Pettigrew, led to their betrayal. Voldemort discovered their location and murdered James and Lily. However, when he attempted to kill Harry, the spell backfired due to the magical protection Lily gave her son by sacrificing her life. The death of Lily Evans had a profound and immediate impact on Snape. He was described as collapsing in grief, appearing as a man who had lived through a century of suffering in a single moment. This event triggered Snape's complete defection from Voldemort's cause. After Lily's death, the turn. Following the death of Lily Evans, Severus Snape permanently severed ties with Lord Voldemort and committed himself to protecting her son, Harry Potter. He returned to Dumbledore, devastated, and reaffirmed his willingness to do anything necessary to make amends. Dumbledore challenged Snape's motivations, but Snape confirmed that his loyalty remained with her memory alone. Dumbledore then gave Snape a clear directive. If he truly loved Lily, he must protect her child, not just out of guilt, but to ensure her sacrifice was not in vain. Snape reluctantly agreed. This marked the beginning of Snape's dual role as a professor at Hogwarts and a covert operative working for Dumbledore. Snape was assigned the position of potions master at Hogwarts and later became head of Slytherin House. Although he maintained a cold and antagonistic demeanor, particularly toward Harry, he followed Dumbledore's instructions to the letter. Despite personal resentment toward James Potter, whom Harry resembled, Snape ensured the boy remained physically safe at all times. During Harry's first year, Snape closely monitored Defense Against the Dark Arts professor Quirrell. He discovered that Quirrell had brought a troll into the castle as a distraction to gain access to the Philosopher's Stone. Snape intervened and sustained an injury from the three-headed dog guarding the stone. Later, during a Quidditch match, Snape performed counter-curses to protect Harry from Quirrell's sabotage. These actions were not motivated by affection, but by duty. Dumbledore believed Snape was repaying the life debt he owed James Potter. Snape neither confirmed nor denied this, but he continued to fulfill the protective role. And over the next several years, Snape maintained his position at Hogwarts while continuing to provide Dumbledore with intelligence. Outwardly, he showed favoritism towards Slytherin students and harshness toward Gryffindors, reinforcing his cover. Internally, he remained aligned with Dumbledore's goals. Becoming a triple agent. When Voldemort regained power, Severus Snape's role expanded. He transitioned from being a double agent, loyal to Dumbledore while pretending to serve Voldemort, to a triple agent. This meant Snape was now reporting to Voldemort, while secretly continuing to act on Dumbledore's instructions, all while maintaining his role within the Hogwarts staff. After Voldemort's partial return during the events of the Triwizard Tournament, he summoned his Death Eaters. Snape did not respond immediately. 2 hours later, at Dumbledore's instruction, he returned to Voldemort with an explanation. He had remained at Hogwarts to protect himself while Voldemort was presumed dead. He claimed loyalty but cited practicality for his delay, explaining that having Dumbledore as an alibi offered him protection. Voldemort accepted the explanation. Snape's value was tied to his access to Dumbledore and the Order of the Phoenix, as well as his considerable skill in occlumency, the magical art of blocking others from reading one's mind. This ability allowed him to hide his true allegiances from Voldemort, who was otherwise unmatched in legitimacy. Snape began feeding Voldemort selected intelligence about the Order. He withheld critical information while providing just enough detail to maintain credibility. At the same time, he continued to pass more significant truths to Dumbledore. This balancing act required continuous risk and absolute control over his own thoughts and emotions. Snape also joined the Order of the Phoenix, reinforcing the illusion that he was a reformed Death Eater now fighting against Voldemort. The Order accepted him largely due to Dumbledore's personal guarantee of his loyalty. Throughout this period, Snape operated under extreme scrutiny. Both Dumbledore and Voldemort believed he was working for them, while his actual loyalty remained hidden behind his mastery of deception and mind control. His position was dangerous, but essential to both sides' strategic movements during the Second Wizarding War. The Unbreakable Vow and Dumbledore's Plan. Shortly before Harry's 6th year at Hogwarts, Dumbledore was cursed by a Horcrux, a ring that had once belonged to Voldemort's family. The curse was fatal, spreading rapidly through his body. Snape managed to contain the curse to Dumbledore's hand, but informed him that it would eventually kill him, likely within 1 year. Recognizing that his time was limited, Dumbledore devised a long-term strategy. He revealed to Snape that Voldemort had ordered Draco Malfoy to kill him as punishment for Lucius Malfoy's repeated failures. Dumbledore feared that Draco, still a school-aged boy, would be morally destroyed by committing murder. He asked Snape to monitor Draco, offer him help, and ultimately, if necessary, be the one to kill Dumbledore himself. Dumbledore's reasoning was that his death was inevitable, and allowing Snape to perform the act would spare Draco's soul and preserve Snape's credibility with Voldemort. Snape initially resisted, but Dumbledore insisted, arguing that Snape had already agreed to protect the students and must follow through with the plan. Snape eventually accepted the task. Soon after, Draco's mother, Narcissa Malfoy, approached Snape at Spinner's End. Accompanied by her sister Bellatrix Lestrange, Narcissa begged Snape to protect her son and help him complete the mission Voldemort had assigned. Bellatrix, skeptical of Snape's loyalty, demanded proof of his commitment. To secure their trust, Snape agreed to make an unbreakable vow, a magical contract that results in death if broken. The vow required Snape to watch over Draco, protect him from harm, and if Draco failed, carry out the mission himself by killing Dumbledore. Snape sealed the vow with Bellatrix acting as the bonder. This unbreakable vow aligned perfectly with Dumbledore's private instructions, though Voldemort and the Death Eaters saw it as proof of Snape's absolute loyalty to the Dark Lord. Dumbledore's final instructions. During the same year he was cursed, Dumbledore gave Severus Snape one final directive that extended beyond the assassination plan. He informed Snape of a deeper truth concerning Harry Potter and the nature of Voldemort's immortality. Dumbledore explained that when Voldemort attempted to kill Harry as a baby, a fragment of his soul unintentionally latched onto the child. As a result, Harry became an unintentional Horcrux. This revelation meant that Voldemort could not be destroyed unless Harry himself died. Moreover, Voldemort had to be the one to kill him, as the connection between them was magical in nature. Dumbledore instructed Snape to pass this information on to Harry at the appropriate time, specifically when Voldemort began to treat his snake Nagini with visible caution and protectiveness. This would signal that the final stage of the plan was near. Upon hearing this, Snape reacted with anger and disbelief. He argued that he had acted for years under the assumption that the mission was to protect Lily's son. Dumbledore acknowledged that their original objective had changed and that Harry had to be prepared for death. Snape accused Dumbledore of raising the boy like livestock for slaughter.
You've been raising him like a pig for slaughter.
Dumbledore asked whether Snape had grown to care for the boy himself. Snape did not answer verbally but responded by conjuring a silver doe Patronus, identical to Lily Evans's. This visual confirmation demonstrated that Snape's loyalty to Lily had remained unchanged.
Always.
This moment confirmed to Dumbledore that Snape would follow through with the final request. Snape's continued protection of Harry and obedience to the broader mission were now tied not just to strategy, but to deeply held personal convictions tied to Lily's memory. The death of Dumbledore. Near the end of Harry's 6th year, Draco Malfoy's mission to kill Albus Dumbledore reached a critical point. He successfully disarmed and cornered Dumbledore atop the astronomy tower, but was unable to perform the killing curse. Dumbledore, already weakened by the Horcrux curse, remained calm and subtly waited for Snape to arrive. Moments later, Severus Snape entered the scene. Without hesitation, and as previously agreed, he cast the killing curse, Avada Kedavra,
Avada Kedavra.
striking Dumbledore and sending him over the tower's edge. This act completed both his promise to Dumbledore and the terms of the Unbreakable Vow he had made with Narcissa Malfoy. Snape then fled the castle alongside Draco, Bellatrix Lestrange, and other Death Eaters who had infiltrated Hogwarts. On the way out, Harry pursued them and attempted to stop Snape. During the encounter, Harry attacked him with multiple spells, all of which Snape deflected effortlessly. Harry accused him of cowardice for killing Dumbledore and fleeing. In response, Snape revealed that he was the Half-Blood Prince, the creator of the spells in Harry's old potions textbook.
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter.
When Harry continued to insult him, calling him a coward again, Snape's reaction was immediate and intense. He shouted, "Don't call me a coward!" indicating the depth of personal offense he took at the accusation, especially considering the sacrifices he had made under extreme personal risk. Following Dumbledore's death, Snape fully assumed the role Voldemort expected of him, loyal Death Eater and newly appointed headmaster of Hogwarts. However, he continued to act on the final instructions given to him by Dumbledore, balancing the appearance of loyalty to Voldemort while preserving the broader goals of the Resistance from within. Secret help to the Order. After Dumbledore's death, Severus Snape was appointed headmaster of Hogwarts. Although he appeared to be enforcing Voldemort's control over the school, he continued operating according to Dumbledore's instructions. His true allegiance remained with the Resistance, and he used his authority to protect students where possible while maintaining the illusion of loyalty to the Dark Lord. One of Snape's key acts of subterfuge involved the Sword of Gryffindor. Knowing its importance in destroying Horcruxes, Snape secretly removed the real sword from Dumbledore's office and replaced it with a fake. He concealed the genuine sword behind a portrait in the headmaster's office, out of the Ministry's reach. The fake sword was later handed over to the Ministry of Magic, fulfilling legal expectations while keeping the real weapon secure for Harry. Later, when the portrait of Dumbledore learned that Harry, Ron, and Hermione were camping in the Forest of Dean, it instructed Snape to deliver the real sword to them, but without revealing himself. Dumbledore warned that if Voldemort accessed Harry's thoughts and saw Snape helping him, it would compromise Snape's position. Following this directive, Snape traveled to the forest and used his Patronus, a silver doe matching Lily Evans's, to guide Harry to the sword's hidden location. Snape remained unseen. In another covert move, Snape met with Mundungus Fletcher and used an unforgivable curse to compel him to suggest using decoy Harry Potter's during the escape from Privet Drive. Snape then passed the real departure date to Voldemort, preserving his cover. During the aerial battle that followed, Snape attempted to protect members of the Order. He aimed a Sectum Sempra curse at a Death Eater who had a wand pointed at Remus Lupin. The spell missed and struck George Weasley instead, resulting in the loss of his ear. Snape also visited the old Order of the Phoenix headquarters and found a letter Lily had written to Sirius Black. He tore the photograph it contained, keeping only the part showing Lily and baby Harry, and pocketed the section of the letter signed, "Lots of love, Lily." These actions were done in private and left no trace of interference. Despite his visible role as a Death Eater, Snape continually carried out protective measures behind the scenes, adhering strictly to the obligations Dumbledore had placed upon him. Final betrayal and death. As the Battle of Hogwarts unfolded, Voldemort summoned Severus Snape to the Shrieking Shack. By this point, Voldemort had begun to suspect that the Elder Wand, now in his possession, was not working at full power. Believing that its allegiance still lay with Snape, who had killed Dumbledore, Voldemort concluded that Snape must die in order to transfer the wand's true loyalty. Voldemort did not kill Snape with the wand itself. Instead, he ordered his snake Nagini to attack. The snake bit and fatally wounded Snape, causing massive blood loss. Voldemort left, assuming the task was complete. As Snape lay dying, Harry, who had been hidden nearby under his invisibility cloak, revealed himself. Snape saw him and attempted to speak. Unable to say much, he directed Harry to take the memories from his mind. These memories, collected in a flask, would reveal the full truth of Snape's actions over the years. The memories showed that Snape had always been working for Dumbledore, had never ceased to love Lily Evans, and had committed himself to protecting Harry, not out of affection, but as a consequence of that enduring loyalty. They also confirmed the final piece of Dumbledore's plan. Harry had to die in order to destroy the piece of Voldemort's soul inside him. Snape's final act was to ensure Harry received this information. His last visible response was to look into Harry's green eyes, identical to Lily's. After that, he ceased moving. His body was left in the shack, but his memories reshaped the narrative of the war. They exposed his true role as a triple agent and demonstrated that many of his harshest actions had been calculated choices required to maintain his cover. His death was the result of Voldemort's misunderstanding of wand lore, not a failure of allegiance. You've just seen the full story of Severus Snape, from student to spy to sacrifice. But there's one part of his legacy most people overlook: the spells. Because beyond the potions and double lives, Snape left behind magical inventions that even the most skilled wizards couldn't match. Click here to discover every spell Snape created and why they're just as complex and dangerous as he was.